What's a brand story? The brand story diagram. These are all exercises I hope you'll do, not now, but as things progress. And if anybody wants to discuss any of these with me afterwards or during the week, I'm happy. But something simple. Who are you? What is it you want to achieve? If you achieve it, who wins? Who's the beneficiary? So not just the achievement itself. What's bigger than that? Who wins if you achieve your thing? Why should I care? So is it a member of my family? Will I benefit just financially? Is there a societal benefit? Is there a shift that's going to happen if you achieve your goal? Because this is what I'm interested in. What's in it for me? What's in it for my family? What's in it for my community? What's in it for my peers? What's in it for my bank balance? That's what I'm interested in. Now I come to you. So you're the guy who's going to get this, or you're the girl who's going to get this. Why should I believe you? What do you have that makes you special? Is it research? Is it excellence? Is it a difference? Is it experience? So let's start stacking up these things, because without these, I know you can't achieve this. And secondly, what are you against? What do you have to overcome in order to get your goal? What do you dislike? Is it existing products? Is it bad value? Is it bad engineering? Is it bad design? So you are only framed by that which you love and that which you hate. That which you love is built up on these things. This is what we call important. These are the important things that we reckon gives us the chance to achieve this. And if we achieve this, this is the actual outcome. Now companies spend a lot of time figuring this out exactly. Because stories isn't something you make up. It's an expression of the reality. It's an expression of reality. So I'm not asking anybody to make this up, because you will be found out real rapid. Okay? So we're not making stuff up here. We're trying to express who we are, why we're doing what we're doing, what it would mean to the world if we achieved, and what it is we're trying to overcome in order to achieve that. That's where our standards lie. That's where our values lie. That's what we hold dear lies in this diagram here. And we notice that by building these up, we have a better chance of achieving our goal. And by beating this, we have a better chance of achieving our goal. But again, what does achieving your goal mean unless I know why that's important? This is the purpose area. Now, that's your overall story. So you should be able to say, I'm so-and-so, what I want to do is this. If I do this, the reason I want to do it is I know that X, Y, and Z will benefit in this way. The reason I believe I can do it is because A, B, C, and my God, I won't stop until I beat these three things. So that's your framework there. Desire, fear, belonging, all those things are in here. How would that look like? I mean, I look at companies like Dyson, I look at companies like Virgin, big brand companies. They have what they call a corporate mythology. I don't think you need all of these things yet, but these are the kind of stories that I would be developing if I were you now, because one day you will be on a stage somewhere being interviewed, one day you will be on a TV show being interviewed, one day you will be writing a press release. And content for that, good, sticky content for that, is something you start developing now. So for instance, these are the kind of stuff I do with companies now. The organization itself, what's your story? Who are you? How will I know you? What choices do you make that defines your character? Because remember, you're not who you say you are, you're how you behave. You're the choices you make. You're the things you select. You're the qualities you admire. You're the values you actually act on, not the values you say you have. Secondly, how did this begin? Creation story is extremely important. We all want to know where we come from. Why did we begin? What was wrong with the world that you had to exist? What desire, either internal or external, made you one day stop everything and start this? Because that gives me energy. When you tell me this, I get an aha. I get where I understand you. I understand more when you tell me why you're doing this than I do when you tell me what it is. Is that clear? Your why is often more important than your what. A value story. Have you any story to explain to me what you value? Are you going for cost or quality? Are you going for design or functionality? Do you have a story around that? Do you have a story around a choice you had to make one day? which shows me in action the values you proclaim to have, which might make me want to say, I want to work with that person, or I don't want to work with that person. Or you are for me, or you're not for me. Or I understand you, I engage with you, or I don't. But we'll just choose to part ways. But again, you don't make this up. You just go back and say, do you know what? Actually, when we made that choice not to take that investor, but to do this, that shows our value. Again, it's choices. Different story. Why would the user experience of your product be different from anybody else? Have we got an example of that? A hero story. Did somebody admire you? Did you go to somebody who really helped you? Are you following in somebody else's path? Was there a mentor? Was there somebody along the way that actually inspired you? Because then again, I understand more about you when you have these stories. Something about your skills or capabilities. Was there sometimes they were tested, but you realized you had them? A vision story. What would the world be like if your product, if your service, or whatever you're doing went global? Whose life would that change? Why would that be a good thing? A milestone story. Was there a special moment when you knew you were on your way? Probably getting Highway 1 would be. Your first investment might be. Your first press release might be. Your first prototype might be. So these are the kind of things I want you to, this is what's interesting. These little dots join up to make the collective you or your product or your team. Speaking of your product, let's talk about what kind of stories would they be? Again, the creation story, the eureka moment, the Archimedes moment, the first minute you saw it work, the making of it, the days. I mean, these are the kind of stories we hear all the time, the garage startups, the long journeys, the 15 rejections. Why do we hear them? Why do we remember them? Because people have worked at telling them. Because that is the best way to express yourself, through a story. Uniqueness story, again, a hero story. So this is what I call story suite, S-U-I-T-E, the story suite. This is the kind of things we need to be developing all the time. And I'm only asking that you might take half an hour a week as a team or as yourself and write down. And I'll show you how we construct stories then out of events. Because it's not an event. Story is not an event. Story is a sequence of events that transfers their collective meaning. A series of events that transfers their collective meaning. There was a startup I was involved with in Dublin. And we tell the story all the time, but it really was. This is what happened. I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and we went for a pint after work on a Friday. And we went up to this pub up in Camden Street in Dublin. And we were sitting there, and there was a guy across the counter, just around the bend of the counter. And we got talking. He was Australian. And he said he was just in town, just landed in town. And we bought him a drink. And then we said, so where are you staying? And he said, oh, I'm just staying across the road. What are you doing here? Well, I'm going to travel around Ireland. And within minutes, we had given him phone numbers, places to stay, as you do. And he just looked at us and he said, you're not going to believe this. He said, this is my first time in Ireland. I've literally gone into the hostel across the road. I heard this thing about the Irish being friendly. And I haven't bought a drink yet, but I have addresses all over Ireland. I've met two guys. This is just so weird. So we kind of left the pub. We were giggling. He said, that was good fun, wasn't it? He liked that, didn't he? I said, well, we liked it too. So Trevor went home, and the next morning he said, Cilian, wouldn't it be great if everybody who came to Dublin had that experience? And we could actually live up to this thing that we are supposed to be a friendly, a welcoming country. So we set up a startup, a venture, a social venture, whatever you call it, called City of 1,000 Welcomes, where we signed up 2,000 ambassadors from Dublin who were willing to meet any stranger coming into the city. And we got a brewery and a coffee shop. If you wanted a pint or if you wanted a coffee, they would buy it for free. So every day, 4 people come to Dublin and they're welcomed in our offices, and one of our 2,000 ambassadors meets them. And there's a protocol around it. Out of that, I think we're number 9 on TripAdvisor now for best experience. We're funded for the next 7 years. And out of that also came a museum that we built to give people a tour while they came to Dublin. Point I'm telling you is that story is what we use now as our creation story. This is where it came from. And people understand by us telling us this, actually it came from somewhere decent. So it gives us traction. It makes us interesting.